Welcome back to the Ignore the Template podcast, the only FPL podcast. We're back to FPL, by the way, hosted by me. My name is Devin, and if you are subscribed to this podcast or this YouTube, whatever floats your boat, you will have noticed there was a bonus episode that was released yesterday, 2 days ago. I don't know. The timeline's fuzzy, but there is a special episode specifically about Liverpool diagnosing their problems, trying to figure out what has gone wrong, figure out how we've got from title winners to scraping by to get to Champions League qualification this season. So if you're interested in any of that, I would highly recommend checking out that video. It's an hour and a half of me ranting, which I was surprised myself, despite the fact that I know how long I could ramble. That's a long podcast. So if you want to pretty much hear everything, and despite saying everything and it's an hour and a half, there's still so much more that I could have talked about. So about as comprehensive as you can think about it at this point. But again, Liverpool content yesterday, check it out on the subscription. I'm just saying words at this point, but let's go ahead and react to Gameweek 31 because I have just finished watching the matches this weekend and Carabao Cup final. Congrats, Man City. Don't know what to say. Unexpected, I think. I think Man City were probably underdogs going into that, but they completely outplayed Arsenal, in my opinion, and I thought they were worthy winners. So congrats to them. Let's take a look at 31, Game Week 31, that is, and we have a lot to talk about. First, maybe it's best just to backtrack a little bit and think about where I thought I would land this week, which I thought would be a red arrow, a small red arrow. I have a small green arrow, and that is even despite the fact that I made the wrong captaincy choice. We'll talk about that a lot in more detail because unlucky, lucky, I know where I land on it, but 2-point green arrow, I will take it. I thought I was going to get a red arrow this week, considering people are playing free hit, people are playing other chips, wild card, etc. So I think on the whole, feeling pretty good, feeling pretty lucky, despite the fact that my captaincy choice was Anderson, who got 4 points, just the defensive contribution. Maybe a little unlucky not to get the clean sheet as well, but even that would not have brought me to the behemoth point guy, Bruno Fernandes, who got 13. Maybe we should just talk about it now. Bruno Fernandes, 13 points, and I'm considering myself lucky that it was not more, because while before a ball was kicked, yeah, probably 13 would have been the upper limit of what I thought Bruno Fernandes could get. Having watched the match, goal and assist fully deserved. And he probably should have had another goal had it not been for Petrovic, world-class save by his freaking ankle. And he probably could have had another assist. So, yeah, that 13 points, I think, having watched the match, very lucky as a non-captainer. I think it could have been a lot worse. To explain how I didn't captain Bruno, despite the fact that I said that he would be my captain on the podcast ahead of the game week, my head was just completely scrambled. If I'm completely honest, I think sometimes just random narratives get stuck in your head. I had a lot of Bournemouth players. I had Senesi, so I was kind of playing both sides of it. I was hoping that Bruno would blank so that Senesi would get some sort of return. Krupi, yeah, he ended up getting a goal off the bench, which love that. But I was hoping that Bruno would blank so that ultimately I would probably have more points by captaining Anderson, because I thought the probability of Burnley getting some sort of goal was probably pretty low. I didn't expect Fulham to score 3 for that matter, so which is why I didn't go for Captain Wilson, for instance, which would have been a better captaincy choice as well. So those were my general thoughts, along with me just like completely spinning out. Do I regret the decision? Yes. I think as soon as the game week kicked off, I was kind of regretting it. I was thinking, why didn't I just play conservative? A lot of the moves were, I think, fairly conservative this week. I should have just stuck with that mentality and I would have gotten a much bigger green arrow. Would have loved that. Currently, I am 35K ranked. Is that right? Yeah, post subs, 35K. I'm very happy with that, if I'm completely honest, given how kind of middling the whole season has been for the most part, where I was stuck in 50K purgatory. Now I'm going to be almost certainly activating my wild card for Gameweek 32, hitting the bench boost in 33, free hitting in 34, and then that's the rest of my chips. Then we just have to play the remainder of the matches. I think this is a good opportunity for me to gain rank. I think my goal at this point would be top 10K. That would be good. That would be my third top 10K ranking overall across, I don't know, 6 seasons I think I've been playing FPL. So overall, that would be good. So just to get back to 31, I think I'm relatively happy. Bummed that my bad decisions led to me not captaining Bruno, but I think on one side, 13 points is probably more than I expected from him. I expected a little bit more from Anderson. I was thinking maybe 8 points, nothing like crazy big, but 8 points is probably the expected result from him. However, Bruno could have had so many more, and Anderson may be lucky to get the 4 points at the end of the day. So all that noise to basically say that I think a small green arrows is, I'm happy. I'm just going to take it and run. And now we could talk about individual players instead of just captaincy. So Anderson would have been my biggest differential. Part of that kind of played into it as well. I brought him in. I was feeling okay, we've talked about it. Anderson flopped with the 4 points. Groupie Jr. off the bench for 5 points. Got his goal. Very well taken. Tarkovsky getting 6 points. Did not expect that. So I think a bit lucky there. Especially a lot of people bringing in João Pedro. A lot of people bringing in even Palmer. People having Enzo. Very lucky, I think, Tarkovsky. Although having watched the match, Chelsea were horrible. They're like, there's no other way to put it. They were just miserable. They played right into Everton's hands. I thought Everton completely played them off the park. And at the end of the day, I think it was a well-deserved clean sheet from them. Enzo would have been another differential, but I wasn't expecting anything. He just had a fixture and I was happy with that. Now looking at the threats to my rank, I didn't have Virgil van Dijk. I was not worried about that. Ekitike, I maybe slightly. However, he ended up getting injured and came off the pitch very early. We've talked to death about Liverpool, so let's skip by that. Bruno, threat to my rank, that was my own. That's a self-inflicted gunshot wound, in all honesty. Not good. João Pedro, yeah, I just wasn't going to bring him in this week, and he may be on my wild card, so I guess I'm happy that he didn't do well. Malik Chia, that was an interesting one. Did not expect him to get benched. Did not expect the result to go that way either. So for anybody who didn't watch the Tyne-Wear Derby, Malik Chia started on the bench, came on for an injured Botman in like the 60th minute or something. I think at that point they're winning. Yeah, obviously Gordon got the early goal, and then they concede 2 goals after Malik Chia comes on. So he got a 0-pointer because of the 2 conceded goals. Obviously didn't have time to get defensive contributions. Had a goal called off for a foul, but I don't have any comments on that. I felt like it could have gone either way, probably. Rodgers, I actually didn't watch this match, so he got his goal. Good for him. Kind of surprised West Ham didn't put up more of a fight. I didn't watch it, so I can't really say how the match actually went, but gut reaction, good for Rodgers. I'm not going to be bringing him in, I don't think. So yeah, not something I'm going to be concerned about moving forward. Elsewhere, we had Dubravka getting 2 points. I was just happy he had a fixture. Senesi 1 point, bit disappointing. The defensive contribution guy not getting a defensive contribution in a match where it was like basketball. I didn't talk enough about this one because, yeah, like I said, Bruno had a lot of other chances. The game probably could have ended 4-4, like no joke. I thought Bournemouth played really well. I thought Manchester United played really well. Not a whole lot of defending on either side, but Yeah, I wasn't expecting a clean sheet or anything magical from Senesi, but defensive contributions probably would have been bare minimum. So what? It's 2 points. Who cares? Tarkovsky getting a clean sheet. We already talked about him and Anderson. Enzo Wilson getting a goal. Good for him. Gordon getting the goal. And did he get, this 10 points, that must mean he got 3 bonus. That's kind of surprising. Because I didn't feel like he was that impactful apart from the goal. Yeah. And Bumo getting 2 points. Hey, you were here. Good for you. Already talked about Krupi, and then Tiago getting defensive contributions. That was not on my bingo card at all. So got 4 points at the end of the day. And my bench is looking stacked. It's looking pretty good at the moment. So to consider that I got a green arrow when I had the likes of Holland, Gehi, Gabriel, and Raya all on the bench because they had the blank, obviously. They were playing the Carabao Cup. I think that's fine. So overall, the week went really well. Pre-subs because I put all of these guys on the pitch for, I don't know, I'm just being a jerk. But post subs, 35k, happy with that. 10% increase. Not much more to say really. So let's move on to the next segment. All right, we are back to Ben Krellen's spreadsheet just to get an overview of who potentially will blank. We've already gone through the blank, but who will potentially double in 33 and blank in 34. Because I'm going to be playing my wild card almost certainly. I haven't hit the button yet, but yeah, I think it just makes sense. There's no other week I'm going to wild card. I just don't think I'm going to retract on that. So I will ultimately probably hit the wild card today, which I'm recording on Sunday, the 22nd, right after Carabao Cup final. And to be honest, I haven't completely wrapped my head around who I will be targeting specifically, but if we're going off of Ben Krellen, and more information will come out. So one thing I did want to mention is that I'm running the data as I'm recording right now. So when that finishes, I will update the Airtable, which provides all the stats for free if you are new to this channel. And it will provide data on like projected points based on the underlying data, projected points based on what they have actually scored across the next 5. However, it's not going to be based on doubles and blanks at this point because those have not been officially made. Once they're officially on the schedule, those will go into the projected point totals. Projected point totals, and I'll have to rerun the data and re-upload it to the Airtable. As of now, it's just going to be every team will have 5 fixtures from 32 to 36 or 37, because there have not been any official announced blanks or doubles. So once that comes out, I'll rerun the data, upload it to Airtable, but I will have the current set of data, which is fresh up through Gameweek 31. That will be live by the time this podcast comes out for sure. Should be tonight, which is Sunday. You're probably time traveling, but yeah, that's basically all I have to say. So the data will be updated, and hopefully that will help me come to a decision on who I will target. And I'll use this Ben Krellen spreadsheet, which I have posted on the Discord if you are curious as to who to target. I think obviously going by the probabilities and Ben Krellen's probabilities, he is projecting that Arsenal, Newcastle, Brighton, and Chelsea are the most likely to double in 33. That could also mean that some of these in the blue that also have a possible double game week, according to Ben, 25 to 50% would be Man City, Crystal Palace, Liverpool, and Burnley. And then there's some unlikely doubles, which would be Bournemouth, Leeds, Everton, and West Ham. I think we'll know by the time. So for clarity, anybody who's under a rock, Game Week 32, the deadline is not, it's like a month away, it feels like. So FA Cup will play on the first weekend of April. So we have an international break, then we have FA Cup weekend, and then I think I don't know if we've got midweek fixtures for 32. I have to look at that, but it could be another week from that. I'll look that up. Why don't I do that? But essentially, we've got a very long time until Game Week 32 actually kicks off. and the deadline is April 10th. So it is a week from FA Cup weekend. Crazy. So it's like 3 weeks from now until Gameweek 32 kicks off. And when the FA Cup games play through, we should have the doubles confirmed. So by the time that all happens, we should have data on the remaining doubles and blanks. I'll rerun the data, as I've said like a billion times, for some reason, and we'll have a more reflective representation of the data, like teams who double and whatnot, etc. So keep a lookout for that. All right, so let's take a look at the data in its current form without any doubles and blanks to consider, because again, not official, but it's kind of curious just to refresh. We've had the blanks now, and I think just generally, apart from the doubles upcoming and whatnot, I think it is kind of a good reset point for a lot of these players. Just understand where these like point totals are coming from and what we should be kind of, I guess, skeptical of. So I just I have the data pulled up. I have sorted by projected points, projected X points, which means it's based on the underlying data model, across the next 5. So in order to get that number, basically what it does is it takes the average points per match, or X points per match in this case, and it multiplies it by a weight based on the fixture difficulty rating of their next 5 teams, adds it together, and you're probably going to get, like if you're, for instance, Gabriel, he's got an average of about 7 points per match. He's got 5 matches, 35. So I'd assume he has middling fixtures, and he does. According to the fixture difficulty rating, they are 8th in the table. So they have the 8th hardest fixtures, or easiest, depending on if you're a cup half full kind of guy, glass half full kind of guy. Bruno, on the other hand, oh wow, actually, that's very interesting. So the first thing I just kind of totally didn't even realize, Gabriel is number 1 in terms of projected points. I would have expected Haaland, but I guess because Haaland has been so poor recently, his average expected points, or his average points by the underlying data model, have taken such a hit. He's actually below Bruno Fernandes and Gabriel. So his expected points per match is 6.79, which is nothing to, scoff at. That's really good. And as you can see from Bruno Fernandes, his is 6.93. Players can overperform, get 13, for instance, but then some weeks they'll blank. That's just FPL. But yeah, that is actually kind of surprising. Haaland has been overtaken by Bruno. So I'm probably going to have both of them because value does not matter this season, but it's just kind of interesting to think about. What else? The next surprising thing is Dan Ballard actually has the 4th highest projected point total. And if you don't believe me, I mean, he's not really been a joke. Like, he's been very good and consistent by the observed points. Even if we're just taking the expected points out of it, he's gotten 4.5 points per match as a 4.7 million defender, and his fixtures aren't bad. If we're looking at Sunderland, they are the 5th in terms of fixture difficulty rating according to expected goal difference. And yeah, so that's suggesting that if he's fit, which I don't think he's been 100% fit, that's part of the problem, but if fit across the next 5 game weeks, you would potentially expect him to get 138. That was his total expected points. You would expect him to get almost 30 points. That's not bad. Okay, Saka next, which he has completely fallen off of the FPL radar, but maybe it's a good time to bring him back in on a wild card, especially if they have the double. He would be easy to free hit out in 34. Gehi I'll have. I think he will probably not be as popular considering O'Reilly just got a brace and O'Reilly's had the better form. Gehi could have had a goal. I can't remember in their last Premier League match where they ended up drawing. Was it like West Ham or something? But Gehi had a clear chance that he probably should have scored at the end of the match, which would have either given them a win or a draw or something. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, Gehi's been a consistent performer. Mookie LA, who's been hurt. I took him out of my team. I don't know if I'm going to bring him back in. That's something I'll consider. Rice, I probably will be bringing back in. Anderson from Nottingham Forest. Anderson, not Anderson. Oh gosh. I always confuse like the spelling of Anderson and Anderson. But Anderson from Nottingham Forest, he's been consistent, only 5.5 million and one of the highest projected point total. Timber, I probably will bring him back in as well. Munoz, possibly. Robin Roofs, he's out injured. Tyrone Mings is kind of surprising. Now, I don't know if I would necessarily bring him in. Is he hurt as well? I need to check that. I don't want to sound stupid, which inevitable. Tyrone Mings not hurt, but not playing. So disregard that one. You could probably discount that one. So also another thing to keep in mind, I filtered by players who had played 10 matches or more. It tends to filter out a lot of the players that, aren't getting frequent minutes. He just kind of scraped by with 13. So that's one of the reasons, only 4.3 million. If for some reason he gets back into the starting 11, maybe that's an opportunity, but yeah, probably going to pass that one by. Thiago, I think, is a lock for me. Lacroix, if I have the money and I go for Munoz, probably won't go for Lacroix. But going back to the projected doubles, they almost certainly will have one double. It just depends on where it is. I guess it could slot into that blank Gameweek 34, but a little unsure about that. Consult with Ben. I have no idea. Semenyo is a player I probably will be bringing in as well. The three Man City players I almost certainly will have, if I have three, would be Semenyo, Gehi, and Holland. O'Reilly is very close to Semenyo, but that is that's the correct O'Reilly. I always trip myself up because that Brighton O'Reilly really threw a spanner in the works by getting a goal. I think maybe it was just a goal off of a penalty kick in one game, and then he fucks off to Roma or Marseille, I think. Or no, Napoli? I don't know. Ismail Assar, he just has been such a troll for me. So I don't know if on FPL principle, if I have to ignore him, but if they have a double, there's a good chance I bring him in, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. Watkins probably won't be making my cut, because if I am looking at forwards that are likely to double or just generally good to have that are, high output, as much as people are going to say it's controversial, João Pedro has been playing better under Rosignor, despite the fact that he blanked this week. And he's very likely to double. So I think João Pedro, Thiago, Holland would be my three, and Watkins and any other forward just not make the cut. Mbumo probably will miss out. I've had enough of Mbumo's 2 points, and he just has not been playing very well. It's kind of surprising how Šeško has been playing very well off the bench, and he can't get the minutes starting. So we'll see if that changes and Mbumo maybe gets, I don't know if it's relegated to the right wing or if now he's having to compete with Amad Diallo. We'll have to see, but I think his minutes are a little bit more sketchy moving forward if Šeško continues to perform. Tarkovsky, I think I've had enough of him. No bad or ill will. I just think there's probably better defenders that are more likely to have doubles, so he probably won't come into consideration. Senesi, potentially. We'll see. Calvert-Lewin, again, no forwards, and we could probably ignore almost the rest down, but we can almost guarantee my team will be some combination of, where's the cutoff? This to this, which is kind of boring, but just the reality of the matter is FPL this season is there are players that are performing and you can afford all of them. So if I was not able to literally afford that entire list, I'd have to go down and look for value picks and things like that, but that's just not how the game was set up this season. So I will take a step away from this, kind of review who may blank and double and all this good stuff. I'm going to come out with a wildcard video podcast sometime between now and game week 32, obviously, but for now I just need to collect my thoughts, because there's so much. This is the entire season. I feel like this wild card will define how I finish, and how, if a lot of people are playing their wild card, this will define how you finish the rest of the season. So I think this is probably the most important game week the entire season, potentially, which it kind of sucks to have that much pressure, but it's FPL, baby. And let's shift gears a little bit. If you're watching YouTube, you may have noticed the light has changed. A passage of time may have occurred. Let's switch over to the Scout versus Scout competition, which is myself coming up with a free hit Scout team that goes up against the official FPL Scout team every single week. If my team loses, I give the leader of the mini league $10 cash app, or the other one. And this week I lost, so I'm going to be paying out $10. But let's go through how my team lost, because it was very not good. It was a lot of mistakes, I guess, kind of some bad luck, and I can't believe I captained Anderson on the free hit team. For some reason I thought I captained Bruno, and then I decided to captain Anderson in my own team, but I guess it was both. So I was dumb on two accounts, and that's basically what it came down to, because we had all the same players that had some sort of haul or return. However, I had one extra player who had a return, but that didn't really count for anything because I had a player who didn't even play. I had Malik Chia and I had Tete who didn't play. So 2 zeros on the book. And yeah, it captaincy and a combination of just nonsense. And that's what it came down to. This was the FPL official scout team. We got 59 points. And for a reminder, this was my team. And if I added the totals correctly, and I'm sticking with the Anderson captain, even though I probably should review the footage, but it's too late. I had one extra player who got a haul, who was Gibbs White, who got a 9-pointer, I believe, or an 8-pointer. And yeah, it was really just this captaincy that screwed me. And Tete and Chia, 2 zeros. What are you going to do? No bench comes into it. It's just the starting 11 for this type of competition. So let's go over to see who won and who I will be asking to reach out on Discord to hit me up and get that cash. And the mini league leader for this week, Super Strikers, Kabis Badaki. Hopefully I didn't butcher that name. Hit me up on Discord or Reddit, and we'll have some conversation just to confirm that your team was the rightful winner this week with 76 points. Very well done. Let's see how this came to be. A lot of the points came from Bruno Fernandes, captain. Well done. Pickford in goal, and Keane, double clean sheet there. Wild. Wilson, Gordon, Rogers with the return. Sticking with that despite a lot of people selling. Good job. And that was basically it. Solid team. Wild card. I'm curious how this wild card will work out with the doubles and the blanks, but overall, very well done. Hit me up on Discord and we'll arrange the funds. And that is going to do it for today's episode. The next episode that will come out, because we basically have 3 weeks until the deadline, I'm going to come out with an official wildcard video that goes through all the best players. And this will be an early wildcard video because we won't have everything confirmed yet. But I want to put something out there for people that are like confirmed that they're going to play the wildcard like I am, and just want to tinker around a little bit and put together something that they envision they may end up with at the end of the, before the deadline is passed. But of course, lots of caveats will be put around that video. So but I'm interested to make it because I'm going to be hitting the wild card. I'm going to be tinkering. Hopefully this gives you that video in the future. We'll give you some clarity and I'll see you then. So subscribe if you want to be reminded when that video/podcast drops into your feed. But otherwise I'll be back. So I'll see you later. Bye.